But now let's talk about a different kind of beauty. This year has brought many of us closer to nature, me included, and the great outdoors. And Jackie is going to show us how to create some gorgeous natural accents for our decor out of forage materials. Now, Jax, tell us about some of your treasures you found. I found that this is the time of year when we usually do go looking out there for beautiful decor, but what have you found out there on your foraging spree?
Well, honestly, Tracy, what haven't I found? There is so much to forage when you start to look. And, you know, in the spring, when we were all kind of staying at home because of COVID, I, like a lot of people, was working from home, and I was walking my dogs, and I was walking on my property, and I started to notice in the spring that there was forsythia branches and apple blossoms and branches, and I thought, before long, along with walking my dogs, I took my snips with me, because I started to snap and snip and put them in vases in my house and really enjoy the beauty of them. And I continued to do that throughout the summer, and now as we're moving into colder weather, I'm doing the same thing, and there is a lot to look for. So I'm always looking for really interesting pods or different branches, anything that's got like a little berry on it. And I want to start to show you a really easy tablescape that anybody can do at home, and anybody can forage wherever they live, as long as they have the eyes to see it and they go to a park or walk or what have you. There's lots to find. So I started with some fallen birch logs, and I just put them in just a couple, just one on top of the other. Nothing's glued, nothing's wired. It's very, very random. And I added some mossy stones. So I'm not only looking at foraged branches, but I'm also looking at things like acorns and just pine cones and these beautiful mossy rocks, which I found really add to a tablescape. And of course, these tablescapes can be used anywhere. They can be used on your coffee table, they can dining room, fireplace mantle, anywhere you really want to inject a little bit of that beautiful fall that we're seeing outdoors. So then you just simply take leaves and just set them in pine cones. It's very artistic, it's very organic, which of course right now is a design trend. Everybody's embracing that really nice, natural, organic kind of vibe. I even found some rose hip and just some fallen leaves, which I just tumbled in and around. Now these can just dry naturally and get crisp. You can keep them in some water before you put them down, or you can let them dry or replace them with fresh, so you can continually forage as you're continuing on. So there's lots of different things you can look for, and I just find that just a big arrangement in your house just adds a really great look to your space. But I do have a question for you, Trace. Are you familiar, do you know the origin of sage sticks?
I'm going to say sage sticks are all about turning the energy around in your space, and I would think that this goes back generations and generations to perhaps the indigenous population of the country, but you tell me if I'm wrong.
It is a very ancient type of ritual that if you practice yoga or meditation today, you'll find that people will use it, the yoga teachers will use it actually to clear the energy. It promotes healing and so forth. Now, all of us right now have, if we're foraging, we also have gardens that might have herbs in them, and you might be growing sage. But you all might also have beautiful rosemary or lavender in your gardens as well, and these can also be part of your sage little bundle. And it's really, really easy to do. So you just gather up your sage, and you start with some twine, and you tie it really tightly at one end, and then you continue with your twine doing a crisscross motion. And what happens is, this is what it would look like when it's sort of partially dried. This is just pure sage. But when it starts to dry after about 3 weeks, it'll look something like this, and you can continue to dry it. And then that's when you can light the end of it, and then it's that smudging effect, creating that beautiful scent. So if you don't practice yoga, you can certainly enjoy sage with perhaps lavender or even some flowers from your garden, and you can just wave it around your room and get a really, really beautiful scent. Now these were made for me from an esthetician, my friend Patty, and I wanted to thank her for that because she uses them in her spa. So I think that's really, really lovely to have. So it's a really beautiful thing even to put in a basket on your coffee table because they're really, really pretty, and they'll just continue to dry. And then the last thing I want to show you about foraging is, of course, a wreath. I find that during the fall, wreaths are something we like to have on our doors. We like the gourds and the pumpkins and really play around with that. And it just creates that beautiful Thanksgiving and harvest vibe. This is something that I made really quickly. It's very wispy, and I simply used this beautiful, it's really a weed. It kind of looks like baby's breath, but I found it just along the side of the road. If they're a little too crisp, all you need to do, a quick trip, is just to soak it in some water. And then you very carefully just kind of bend and add a little bit of twine all the way around. And you have this really, really pretty organic wreath, which you could hang, you could make different sizes, or you could even put them on a table and add some candles. So lots of ideas when you're foraging. It never ends, and just keep looking.
I think that's beautiful. It also gives the whole family excuse to get out there into nature and enjoy this time of year, which is a beautiful sort of in-between. Yeah. It's warm, but it's not too hot. Jax, thanks for that. Just to remind anyone who's looking to forage, it's important to know where and what you can pick. And be sure to do your research before heading out. So go to cityline.tv for more information.